And we have to admit that Carlson Tucker has built himself his image of a truth willing guy. And he did it very well. He said very well the truth.
Hey, welcome to Marcel Ernie. Tonight on Ernie Racing News, we're talking about Tucker Carlson, fired from Fox News, the most watched TV show in this era of our life, 2023, 2022. I read a quote: in terms of individual program performance, Tucker Carlson tonight broke the Five's 11-month streak as the most watched cable news program. The program averaged 3.25 million total views in the month of March. The Five dropped to second, averaging 3.06 million views at 5 p.m., followed by, such and such. So why is Tucker Carlson the most popular person in America for cable news TV, for news all over? Essentially, the last honest men on national television were the only two major TV personalities who presented viewpoints of those of us who challenged the rush to war in Iraq, General Electric, and Microsoft. MSNBC founder and defense contractors that went on to make tremendous profits from the war were not about to tolerate a dissenting voice. Donahue was fired at PBS. Moyer was subject to tremendous pressure. An internal MSNBC memo leaked to the press stated that Donahue was hurting the image of the network. He would be a difficult public face for NBC in a time of war, the memo read. Donahue never returned to the airwaves. So what was Tucker Carlson doing? Well, he was talking about many subjects that nobody else would on TV. Now you have like redacted, you have something, you got all these independent news reporters, such as myself and Clyde Do Something, who are talking about these stories that that CensorTube and the mainstream medias won't. So five main things that Tucker has done. He opposed the U.S. proxy war in Ukraine. Number one, he is opposed to the U.S. proxy war in Ukraine, bringing out the truth. What is the full truth? Because everything that the U.S. or NATO has ever told you about Iraq, about Afghanistan, and now about Ukraine, and of course back to Vietnam, and so on and so forth. All these little proxy wars, what's going on in Taiwan and Syria, etc. Well, the U.S. is actually truly evil. They will just destroy civilians in Afghanistan, bomb civilians, because they want territory for oil, for money, for laundering, etc. He has denounced the CIA, the FBI, and the DHS for its systemic lies, and corruption, and devoted himself to a pardon for Julian Assange. He is the one that broke the story about Afghanistan, about civilians being bombed. They're not just bombed, but targeted with machine guns from helicopters. For this video footage that he leaked. He whistleblowed video footage of U.S. military shooting machine gun out of helicopter at civilians, killing civilians. And then, of course, he is put in jail by the feds for whistleblowing what's going on. He has objected to the regime change efforts in Cuba. He criticized Trump admin's militarization. He also accurately covered and challenged the dirty war in Syria, including the OPCW's docu-cover-up scandal, like everyone else on cable TV and almost all of the leftist media. Now, what is change? And of course, back to January 6th, he released all the January 6th video footage that nobody will even talk about. All the video footage from all the security cameras in the building, in the Capitol. Bringing it back to the shaman, man, who was in jail for like a year and a half now. And he's shown that he was just escorted around and given a tour by the police at the Capitol. So what has changed? What has changed? There's some lawsuits going on with the voting machine companies against Fox, which Fox just made a settlement in the many hundreds of millions for one of those. But what is really going on in the backdrop is Blackrock. Blackrock increases position in Fox Corporation, or FOXA, FOXA. Final reports that Blackrock has filled a 13GA form with the SEC disclosing ownership of 45.74 million shares of Fox Corporation Class FOXA. This represents 15.1% of the company. In their previous filing dated January 27th, 2022, so a year and a bit ago, they reported 33.87 shares and 12.40% of the company, an increase of shares of 14.75%, and an increase in total ownership of 2.7%, calculated at the current rate. So as of January 31st, 2023, the average one-year price target for the Fox Corporation is $37.56. So BlackRock increased their ownership, right? Here we have a tweet from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Fox fires Tucker Carlson 5 days after he crosses the red line by acknowledging that the TV networks pushed a deadly and ineffective vaccine to please their pharma advertisers. Carlson's breathtaking, courageous April 19th monologue broke TV's two biggest rules. Tucker told the truth about how greedy pharma advertisers controlled TV news content, and he lambasted obsequious newscasters for promoting they knew to be I can't even say this on CensorTube. Promoting the one, promoting the fire that they knew to be lethal and worthless. For many years, Tucker has had the nation's biggest audience, averaging 3.5 million, 10 times the size of CNN. 10 times the size of CNN. Fox just demonstrated the terrifying power of big pharma. Wow. Fox is making a killing off of advertising, becoming the 10-time biggest news station out there, 10 times bigger than CNN. And they gave it all up for political control of their advertisers as well. And yet, what's going on at the same time? The same time today, Joe Biden confirms the 2024 re-election bid in a video. And I mean, it's just on every news network. Bam, 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 bam. Joe Biden announces. Joe Biden confirms. Joe Biden launches. Joe Biden formally announced. Joe Biden confirms 2024 re-election. Joe Biden launches. Joe Biden confirms. Oh, there's a million of them. Yeah. So I encourage everybody to get over to Redacted. If you're not subscribed to Clayton and Natalie Morris, they're doing an excellent job. And they actually had Tucker Carlson on a couple months ago. Here's a text from Romeo. Isn't it interesting that the next day after Tucker Carlson was made missing from the mainstream media landscape in the United States, the announcement emerges that Joe Biden is running in 2024. So let's get on to Romeo's video, guys. And go from there and see what he has to say. So check it out. Check out Romeo.
Hey, Marcel, and the Canadians and Americans. American political spectrum is very, very pragmatic. I mean, they are talking in polls figures, polls numbers only. Yes, they are studying the polls, electoral polls. And listen, after those huge scandals in the United States, I mean, Biden and his son Hunter, and now Donald Trump with a fake scandal, but a scandal. And I mean, United States is in huge trouble now in terms of economical, financially, level of living standards in United States, unprecedented. So what would you do if you were a Republican Party and you want to win the 2024 elections, presidential elections? you'll make sure you will win them. And what do? You make an already popular guy, you make him a victim, and you boost his popularity to the higher skies. And that would be Tucker Carlson. Everybody tries to find an explanation why Tucker Carlson has been wiped out from Fox News. Probably is a strategy. Probably they said, we are Fox News, we are supporting Trump. But we are alone. On the other side, there are CNN, MSNBC, ABC, things like this. And we couldn't fight alone to those monsters, ass kissers for Biden administration. So we have to do something radical. We have to make sure we win those elections. How do we do that? Look at the polls. Look at the polls. Look at the polls. The electoral polls. Not only electoral. Popularity. Well, the poll says that Tucker Carlson did a huge, unimaginable audience to Fox News. So why would Rupert Murdoch and Fox News would get rid of such a treasure like Carlson Tucker? This is not logical at all. So probably they find their paths in order to find another higher path for Tucker Carlson. The savior path, the guy who saves the election, the presidential elections in 2024. I mean, probably it's just my imagination, but I wouldn't wonder if we found out that Tucker Carlson, who already is a Republican, a declared one, he will make this very well prepared move. Don't forget that one of the best counselors of Donald Trump is Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, married with Ivanka. And this guy is a mastermind. I mean, if you look at his mastermind plans in the last 15, 20 years, you'll have a stroke. So I wouldn't wonder if Tucker Carlson will be the Republican candidate for 2024. This is Romeo from Romania. All the best. I forgot to mention something interesting and important. Carlson Tucker, if he will run for president, he will be presented as the second JFK. I mean, the president, honest president, and willing for truth. And we have to admit that Carlson Tucker has built himself his image of a truth-willing guy. And he did it very well. He said very well the truth. Let's see what happens, all right? Romeo from Romania.